So in my previous video, I talked about an introduction into redox, and I talked about these drill bits here as being the addition of oxygen. We learn an acronym in chemistry called oil rig, which is used to identify oxidation or reduction. So this is it here. Oil rig. Oxidation is loss, reduction is gain of electrons. This is the defining thing, or the defining principle of redox, where it involves the transfer of electrons from the thing that's being oxidized, where electrons are being lost, to the thing that's being reduced, which is the thing that's gaining electrons. One thing to note is the charge on electrons. Electrons are negatively charged. So what we can look at is if something's being oxidized and it's losing electrons, it's going to become more positive. We can see that in the example below, where my iron, as it is solid, has no charge whatsoever. When it loses its electron, so electrons over there are as a product, it becomes positively charged because it's lost 2 electrons, which is 2 units of negative charge. So therefore, if you're seeing something's being oxidized, it's increasing in charge. The other way of looking at it is reduction. Reduction is the opposite of oxidation, where if you have something that's being reduced, it's gaining electrons, which means it's gaining negative charge. What that means is its charge should be coming down. The example I have here is where we have copper ions. They're being reduced to copper solid. And you can see that because the charge goes from +2 over here to 0 over there. You can also see it because our electrons here are as a reactant where they're being added to our copper. So this is where we can see the difference between oxidation and reduction in these type of equations. These equations are called half equations because they only tell half the story. Redox involves oxidation and reduction together. So these guys are half of the equation. All right, down here I have a full equation. And if I want to look at what's being oxidized or reduced, I can still look at the charges. Over there, or sorry, should I say over here, I have copper 2 positive. And then it's going down to copper solid, which has no charge. So therefore the charge on the copper is going from 2 positive down to 0, which means it's being reduced because it's adding in electrons. And those electrons are lowering the charge because those electrons are negative. Our zinc was 0 over here, and it's now 2 positive over here. So therefore what's happening is it must be losing electrons.